Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of remarkable spotlights. These are remarkable attorneys with focuses on elder law and estate planning. Joining me on this segment is Amanda Smith. She's based out of Maryland, just outside of DC, and she's the owner and attorney at ChesapeakeEstatePlanning.com. Amanda, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Amanda, I know that estate planning and elder law can be a broad topic. Can you give us a peek at your areas of focus on that spectrum and the types of clients that you serve?
Absolutely. So here I have a virtual law practice. So it's actually virtual estate planning, elder law, and asset protection. So I've kind of taken the hassles of visiting a brick and mortar law office. Nobody wants to talk about estate planning, much less go and visit their estate planning attorneys. So we've taken that out of the mix. And so I meet with clients all across the state of Maryland virtually, like web conferences, similar to how you and I are talking just today. And so I meet with clients from young families who are just kind of starting out, trying to make sure they've got guardians in place for their children, and kind of what if something happens to them while they still have minors, to busy professionals that are really trying to kind of juggle all the demands that they have with busy careers, and what does that look like for them? Maybe they own their own businesses and trying to protect for that. On into the sandwich generation, which are, people that are kind of in the middle, sandwiched between raising families of their own and also protecting and providing for their aging parents. And then finally, seniors do a lot of estate planning, asset protection, and long-term care planning for seniors to make sure that they are able to protect their hard-earned assets and still leave a legacy for their families while still affording long-term care.
Really interesting. And being virtual, very convenient. Does that also mean that documents can be signed virtually, or how does that part work?
So we still do wet signature documents for the wills and the trust and that type of thing. We send everything to them and facilitate the signing with a notary and witnesses in person.
Gotcha. Just makes the process more convenient doing all the meetings virtually. So Amanda,
Exactly.
I've found that, we wanted to raise awareness on this topic because I've found that there's like lack of understanding and lack of information out there for people. And especially the spotlight's been shined on the gap, especially during this pandemic. So can you speak to that? What are some of the folks, reaching out to you these days concerned about? And do you find that they've been underinformed or had misinformation?
I'm seeing a lot of people very concerned, especially with the health crisis that's been happening for the last year, concerned about what happens to them if something physically were to happen to them, if they were to be incapacitated and need some care services. They're struggling with, how am I going to afford that? What does it look like? And so there's some common misconceptions out there with long-term care planning, that you've got to give everything away in order to qualify for these public benefits such as Medicaid. You're going to lose your house, you're going to lose all of your assets. And there are ways that we can protect those assets for people and still allow them to have quality long-term care services. That's been one of the biggest misconceptions I've seen, is people are just more aware now of their need for potential care services because of the pandemic and things of that nature with the health going on, but they're misinformed about all of the options that we have to protect their assets.
Could we dive in a little bit deeper on that subject and maybe bring some clarity to it? What are some of the things that they do have to consider to be prepared for long-term care? What are those things?
Yeah, so for long-term care, we're always going to look at your income, your assets, your goals for what kind of facility you want to be in. Do you want to stay at home? Do you want to have in-home care? Do you want to be in a nursing home where you've got robust care being provided for you, or an assisted living? So we're always looking at what's the care level that you need and that you want. Most people typically want to stay at home as long as possible, which can cost a hefty penny. But from a qualification standpoint, we're always looking at income, assets, different for single people versus married couples, and then a lot of different planning strategies that we can use in order to protect those assets.
What are some of the mistakes or pitfalls that you find people find themselves in that perhaps don't give them the best situation. Are there any mistakes or pitfalls that you see commonly?
Oh, all the time. And I teach nationally on the topic of Medicaid planning specifically and long-term care planning. And I hear horror stories, not just in my own practice, but from attorneys all across the country of things that clients had done before they came into the attorney's office. And so sometimes they've given assets away. You know, a lot of times they'll give their house to their kids thinking they need to get rid of it so they can qualify for Medicaid, when most cases that house is exempt for Medicaid purposes. Or they will have done some other kind of gifting strategies without any type of plan in place, and not be able to then afford the care that they would need because they gave everything away and had some type of penalty, and they have no money to pay through a penalty period that Medicaid would assess. So usually it's gifting that people have kind of messed up on the front end before they go see an attorney, and have to kind of see what we can do to remedy some of that.
So it sounds like if they get the facts first, they really don't have to give everything away like they might perceive.
Exactly. And we can plan for exactly what we want to give away purposefully to the right people in the right manner, and still protect everything for them and get them qualified for benefits.
Amanda, how did you get started in estate planning and elder law? What inspired you to focus on this area?
So this area of law, I've been doing it for 11 years now, and it is an area that kind of allows me to take my passion for planning. I'm just a planner by nature, whether it's just my own personal calendar and things going on, but also to really help families. And this is something I'm very passionate about, is helping families in all phases of life. You know, got my own grandparents and people that are close to me that have gone through things like this, and trying to help them navigate some of the challenges of that long-term care with still having the very best quality of life. So it's an area that allows me to practice law, but in a less contentious environment than something like litigation. My clients are typically happy people just looking to make the best out of their current situation. So it's an area of law that I get a lot of satisfaction out of because of the relationships.
It's an area of law where everyone can be a winner. There doesn't have to be a winner and a loser side. And for the most
Exactly.
part, your chief aim is to put everybody in a better position. I love that. Amanda, for our listeners out there that can resonate, maybe you've brought some awareness to them at the need to have an estate plan or a long-term care plan. How can they, and if they're in your area, of course, in Maryland, just outside of DC, how can they connect with you, learn more, and perhaps work with you?
Absolutely. So they can always visit my website, which is ChesapeakeEstatePlanning.com. And from the events tab there, you'll see I do weekly estate planning workshops that are designed to really give people all the information that they need to really start making informed decisions about their estate plan. And those are complimentary. You can sign up at any time, and they're weekly for about an hour. You can also call the law firm at 888-EP-LAW FIRM. That's 888-375-2934.
Amanda, this has been terrific. I appreciate your sage advice and information and insights here, and taking the time to share with my audience. I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Amanda Smith, attorney and owner of ChesapeakeEstatePlanning.com. This segment's been brought to you by BooksGrowBusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals and entrepreneurs publish to inform their consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.